time for another Q&A. So this is gonna be a get ready with me Q&A. I took questions from you guys both on Instagram and on my community tab on my YouTube page. Probably not gonna be talking about the makeup I'm using a lot, so if you wanna know what I'm wearing, I'm gonna link everything down below in the description box. And I'll also mention the person who asked the question. However, this first person just kind of has like a generic user and a bunch of numbers names. So it says, Kate, I love your videos and your strong stance with pro-choice brands. I would love to know what you're currently watching, reading, and listening to. This is something I actually love to talk about, and it was something that I was starting to include in my favorites videos, you know, like the media that I'm taking in and loving, and then I just stopped. Why'd I stop? Randy and I are watching Veep. He's actually seen the whole thing all the way through, and now he's rewatching it because I wanted to see it. Kind of watching a bunch of like older shows like that. I'm rewatching Girls. I started my rewatch of that a few weeks ago, and I'm kind of just like leisurely taking my time to get through it again. But I do think it is such a brilliant show, and honestly, at the age of 41, I'm enjoying the rewatch better than when I watched it when it first came out. Say what you will about Lena Dunham, but she is truly just an incredible writer. She's such a good storyteller. Oh, I know. This is what I was trying to remember. I watched the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders documentary. It's called America's Sweethearts, and it's on Netflix. And I'll tell you what, it took me a really long time to watch it. It was so triggering to watch as a performer and as a woman. It's such a well done series, and it so truthfully depicts what's being done to these women, and it also depicts like how incredibly talented and like what top tier athletes these cheerleaders are. It's insane. And I'm not really spoiling anything here because you learn this basically like, I want to say maybe 20 minutes into the documentary series, that these women are being paid peanuts. They're literally being paid what one of the cheerleaders refers to as what a Chick-fil-A worker would make. If you want to have your hair on fire, watch that. But I will say it is truly the most perfect on its face example of how the patriarchy has just ruined everything. Like everyone is truly a slave to that. Whew! I could like literally do a video all about that. I mean, I'm not a commentary channel, but I did think about it because I was so riled up and I had so much to say when I was watching that series. Sometimes I had to scream into a pillow. Okay, this isn't working. I'm not even putting on makeup. What am I doing? It's just really hard to watch how predatory all of the people who are actually women at the top of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, like the owner and the women who are running it, they're so predatory toward the young women who they employ. It is just very challenging, or at least it was very challenging for me to watch. I'm gonna move on to what I'm listening to because I'm not much of a reader, so I can't really recommend any books. Guys, Chappell Roan has me in a chokehold. So I've been listening to a lot of her, and it's just such good summer vibes. She's such a queen. I'm going back to my friend's lake house here this coming week, and you best believe I'm gonna be a pool baby for 3 days straight, just having Chappell Roan on loop. I also really love Billie Eilish's new album, so I've just really been listening to a lot of them. Randy actually got us tickets for my 41st birthday to see Billie Eilish when she comes to Madison Square Garden in the fall. Okay, so official KDB asks, what's the brand that you miss the most after shifting exclusively to pro-choice brands? Such a good question because there are so many. Wait, let me think about this. If I can only choose one, right? Yes, this is a good time to point out, if you are new to my channel, that I'm an exclusively pro-choice influencer. So I only feature products from brands that are loudly and proudly in support of abortion rights. Since I've shifted to only using pro-choice brands, Charlotte Tilbury for sure. And I know some people love to hate on Charlotte Tilbury and say like, oh, I never thought it was that good. I never got the hype, yada shmada bada. I don't know what Charlotte Tilbury you were using, but the one I was using was phenomenal. And I had a lot of Charlotte Tilbury makeup. What was your first paid job as a performer? That's such a good, fun question. My first paid job as a performer was when I was 20 years old, I believe. I did theater ever since I was very young, but that was my first paid job. And that was doing theater at the Offsquare Theater Company in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which I think has been renamed. It's been moved and been renamed. It was this really cute little theater company in Jackson Hole. I ended up, living there for the summer, truly having like one of the best summers ever. I mean, it was so idyllic. I love Jackson Hole. I did the musical I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change, which was this super cute slash honestly kind of cheesy 4-person musical. A Pretty City Girl asks, what is your favorite Sex and the City episode? Well, I'll start by saying this. My favorite part of the Sex and the City series was in season 6. It was the whole Baryshnikov plotline, the Alexander Petrovsky plotline. I just loved everything about the end of that series. I just think they got everything so right. The styling, the hair, the makeup, the costuming. I mean, it was always great, but it was never better, in my opinion, than it was at the end of season 6. The season 6 was split up into 2 different parts. It was, I believe, like season 6A and then season 6B. Is that right? And this actually takes place over the course of a couple episodes, but it's the episodes where Carrie is getting ready to go to France and then when she's in France with Alexander. I couldn't even tell you how many times I've watched those episodes over and over again. That and the Sex and the City movie, the first one, not the second one. Sudi Dunbar says, do you speak any other language, even if not well? I just spoke about the Sex and the City France episode, and that's the language I took for years. I took French for, I don't even know. I took it in junior high and high school, and then I took it into college because I studied voice. I think it was a total of like 5 or 6 years or something like that. Do I have anything to show for it? No, that's not true. I actually have excellent pronunciation to show for it. I was really good at pronunciation, but I just like didn't commit to the language. I understand enough French that if someone was, in front of me speaking French, I can kind of maybe figure out what they're saying and get an idea for that, but that's kind of about it. Okay, Define Your Beauty asks, how is the Rhode blush formula compared to the Lawless cream blush? I don't know about the Lawless cream blush because Lawless is not pro-choice, but what I will tell you is I can't imagine a cream blush that I'm going to stumble upon that is going to be better than the Rhode blushes. That would be hard for me to imagine. But I think you guys already know that because I've done like a million posts about the Rhode blushes, and I also did a full-on dedicated video to the entire launch. Just get the Rhode blushes, okay? I don't know what else to say. Chastine77 asks, love this question, favorite New York City bar and drink order. My favorite drink order is a extra dirty gin martini, preferably Hendrick's, or we love a Tanqueray 10 with olives, of course, and preferably blue cheese olives. Oh, you know what? I thought of a bar that I really love. So this is in Brooklyn, and it is the bar that is associated with the Alamo Draft House. It's in downtown Brooklyn. It is so creepy. It is so macabre. It is so morbid. So you have to be a person who's into those things. But it fits the whole vibe of Alamo Draft House because it's like super retro, kind of creepy, dark vibes. And the whole place is basically wax statues that are in glass cases. Some of them are very weird and grotesque. The drinks are off the hook. Like, it is elite goth vibes. If there's any part of you that loves a goth situation, you're gonna love House of Wax. My favorite time to go see a movie at Alamo Draft House is Halloween for this exact reason. Okay, this person said, not a question, but thanks for introducing me to the Fenty body sauce. This is a top 5 product for me in the sense that ever since I discovered this product, I've never put it down and stopped using it. This is what gets me through the summer. This is why I'm, kind of sun-kissed tan right now, because I have this on. I do have a little bit of color myself, but this is what keeps it going and keeps it looking like so hydrated and blurred and gorgeous, like my whole décolleté area. If they ever stop making this, I'll be very upset. Okay, I'm gonna use several of a Pretty City Girl's questions because she asked a lot of really fun questions. The next one being favorite candy bar. Okay, if we're talking about a bar, like a literal candy bar, I would have to say my most reach for would be Snickers. I know, that's basic, but it's so good. Ooh, and you know what I really love? Guys, do not sleep on the ice cream bar Snickers. What? I forgot about those, and then I had one recently, and I was like, this is one of the best ice cream products I've had in years. So yeah, I would say a Snickers bar, but if we're like, kind of being lenient with the rules here, I've got to go with Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, like every time. Anything chocolate and peanut butter M&Ms, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, Reese's Pieces, love all of that. Okay, Jess R says, would you ever bring back your Box Office Beat series? So anyone who's like watched my channel for a few years might know about this series that I did off and on called Box Office Beat, and I really had a fun time doing it. It's basically me doing my makeup and breaking down a movie and doing commentary about that movie. I really enjoyed filming them and I really loved the finished product. I think it was something really different. But y'all, nobody watched them. And listen, like, I will do something I love that doesn't get great views, but I was like committing to the series and it was taking up so much time. It was just getting to a point where, because no one was really watching the videos, I had to weigh out whether it was worth it to me to actually spend all of my time doing that. But thank you, I appreciate that. And it's not to say that I would never do it again, but yeah. That's where I'm at with Box Office Beat. Womp womp. Okay, the next question is from Lisa, and I really like how Lisa posed this question. Gold star for Lisa. She said, are there any companies that give the opposite of choice vibes? A lot of times people will pose the question like this. Okay, I know you have the pro-choice list, but what about a list for anti-choice companies? What about the anti-choice beauty brands? It's a whole spectrum of things that I look at when I put brands on the pro-choice list. And if you ever want to find out more about that, you can head to my Instagram. There's a highlight reel called Pro-Choice, and it will tell you literally all you want to know about how I put this list together. There really aren't anti-choice brands. There are brands who are vocal and who've spoken out, and there are brands who are silent. You know, at a time when women are having their rights stripped away, and a lot of women are not going to survive this, we expect more from brands, and specifically brands in an industry that mostly makes their money off the backs of women. And what I've also found is that a lot of brands, i.e. Cozzens, will be very vocal about other human rights issues. Like, they're very, very vocal about pride, which is incredibly important, and I love that, but they will say nothing about abortion rights. And my subscribers have written, I've written them. Now for the pièce de résistance. My favorite road blush combo. First I go in with Freckle. Sandra Lee asks, is your YouTube your full-time job, and do you have any advice for someone starting a channel, not necessarily makeup related? There have been times where YouTube has been my full-time job, but currently I have another part-time job. There's a part of me that wants to say, like, just do it. Like, don't give it a lot of thought, just do it, because that's what I did. I was a freelance makeup artist here in New York City. I'm also an actor. And it was just something on a whim. One of my friends suggested I do it, and I just filmed one day. And then I just decided to stick to it. And here we are. Like, I think it's been close to 8 years now, 7 or 8 years. If you want to do this to a point where you can monetize it and, you know, at least try to make some sort of a living doing this, you have to be consistent and you have to, like, commit to it. And I will tell you, you know, it can be a little challenging. I mean, I'm not saying it's the hardest job in the world. It's not brain surgery and it's not bricklaying, but it has its own sort of challenges, because let me tell you, working for yourself is, one, amazing, but two, it is so damn hard to self-motivate. It is so hard on those days where you don't feel like being seen by anyone, let alone getting on camera and just putting yourself out there. Like, I can't tell you how many days there are when I don't feel like doing that. Now I'm going in with Piggy. So that's why I say I feel like it takes a certain amount of just kind of like throwing your hands in the air and being like, whatever, I'm doing this. And then a certain amount of knowing that you're going to be able to commit to it as well. It needs that combination. Going in on my lips with the shade Piggy. A pretty city girl coming in hot with another fun ass question. She's asking, what's my favorite horror movie? Top 3 would be the original Stepford Wives from 1975, Get Out, and Halloween. Oh, and Midsommar. If you haven't seen Midsommar, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. However, I feel like I talk about most of those a lot. I want to mention a horror movie that haunts me from my childhood, that I watch like every few years, and I just revisited the other night because it was rainy and I wanted to be like all cozy with the candles going and I wanted to be all scared. It's called Burnt Offerings. Does anyone know of this movie? Anyone? Bueller. Okay, I just pulled up the date. It is from 1976. It has a great cast. It has Oliver Reed, Bette Davis, Karen Black. Like, I don't know how this movie had such a stellar cast, and I feel like no one has ever heard of it or watched it. It's a possessed house movie, you know? It's kind of like The Shining. A family goes to a giant house in the middle of nowhere, a giant estate, and then they slowly become like taken over by the house, and the house like gets in the middle of their family dynamic. There is this one particular character in this one particular scene from the movie that literally was probably the most horrifying image of my entire life. Like, couldn't sleep after I saw this scene. There's a character who's like a chauffeur slash hearse driver in the movie. He's in like a dream sequence, and all he does is he's in black and white. He has aviator glasses on, and he's like opening a door up for someone to get in, and he smiles. It's truly one of the scariest visions of a person I've ever seen. I actually made myself watch it the other night. Like, I usually pause it or I fast forward. No, I'm overcoming my fear. I think that's my favorite like sub genre of horror movies, about a house that basically has a personality and a soul and like takes over the people within it. Okay, so I was gonna do the bangs down, but I'm feeling the bangs up lately. Use some hair product, set my hair, and now I think we also need a gold chain. Love gold with a tan. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I love these fun little Q&As. As I said, everything I used on my face today will be linked down below in the description box. You guys are the best. Please stay safe out there, and cheers till next time.